True Crime Psychic Eye presents the Valentich UFO Mystery. The most famous and perplexing UFO case in Australia's history occurred in 1978. 20-year-old Fred Valentich took off from Maryam Airport in Melbourne on October 21, 1978. He was in his four-seater, single-engine Cessna. His fuel tank was full, and he had submitted his flight plan, which showed intent to fly over the Bass Strait, then over Cape Otway to King Island, a trip of around 145 miles. He established two-way radio communication with the Melbourne Flight Service Unit. The weather was calm with good visibility. 47 minutes into his flight, he radioed to report seeing some type of aircraft at his level of 4,500 feet. He was informed that no known aircraft was in his vicinity. He said it appeared to be following him, looked metallic, and had four bright landing lights. It was moving at high speed and very erratic. He also stated that his engine was starting to run roughly. "That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again," he stated. And then his final words were, "It's not an aircraft." On the other end, all that could be heard was an open mic for 17 seconds, followed by a metallic scraping sound, and then radio silence. Fred Valentich was never seen or heard from again. A search was launched that included a Lockheed surveillance plane, at least 8 civilian planes, as well as ships in the area. Nothing was found, and after 4 days, it was called off. The official stance of the Australian government was that Fred may have become disoriented and crashed into the sea. As with most unsolved mysteries, there are several peculiarities in this case. After Fred's disappearance, his father revealed in an interview that his son believed in UFOs and had expressed concern multiple times about being abducted. It was also revealed that Fred was a relatively inexperienced pilot. His 2 applications to the Australian Air Force had been rejected. He had also failed his commercial pilot's license exam. During training flights, he had been reprimanded for purposely flying into clouds and straying into controlled airspace over Sydney. Fred's true intentions came into question when inconsistencies were discovered in his story. He had told family members he was going to King Island for crayfish, yet told flight officials he was going to pick up passengers. He did in fact take 4 life jackets with him, yet he had failed to inform King Island he would be landing there for the lights to be turned on, going against protocol. Investigators found that there were no passengers waiting pickup on King Island, as well as no previously placed orders for crayfish. 5 years after his disappearance, an engine cowl flap was found washed ashore at Flinders Island. It was identified as from a Cessna, with serial numbers between a certain range that included Fred's plane. When analyzed, it was determined that its operating bolt had failed either on impact or in flight, rather than with corrosion. So what happened to Fred Valentich? Theories ranged from engine failure to simple pilot error due to inexperience. There was speculation he had faked his death, but family and friends all shot down the suggestion of suicide. There were reports of a UFO in the area that night by over a dozen people. An amateur photographer claimed to have taken a photo the same day Fred went missing that showed a fast-moving object exiting the water near Cape Otway Lighthouse. Did abduction explain the metallic scraping noise, or was it simply due to mechanic malfunction? Maryam and Denise will channel this case to get answers.
Hi. All right, we're back with a new episode of True Crime Psychic Eye. Episodes air live 2 times per month. And if you have a case you would like us to investigate, please let us know. We are always looking for new cases. Let us know in the comments. So, in October of 1978, a 20-year-old Australian pilot named Frederick Valentich radioed to report seeing a UFO flying around him at high speeds. His last words were, "It's not an aircraft," followed by a metallic scraping sound and then radio silence. He and his Cessna plane were never found. So tonight on True Crime Psychic Eye, we will be looking into this strange disappearance. This case is weird.
It is really a weird one. It's hard to even know which questions to ask first because there's so many different sub ways you can go.
Yeah, and I think uh, his they're trying to tap, like they're trying to gently hint at some mental health issues too, it sounded like.
Personality issues at the least. Yeah.
Yeah, so curious to see if that's really what really had anything to do with it. I'm Harlow sent me some pictures, and then she also sent me the actual audio from right before the plane went down, which we can't air for you guys because it's copyright, but we have the link. We can share the link with you guys in the chat or after the show. So I listened to that before we started. And Denise, were you able to hear anything when I had it on, or was it just
I
static?
actually muted myself and listened to it on my end.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
And what were your initial feelings?
That was creepy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was an alien.
Wow.
I do feel that. I don't feel like he crashed intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my initial response too. Was, yeah, that was my initial response. What year was it? What year did you say this was?
78.
78. Okay.
1978.
Patricia Denmark. Oh, interesting. What she's I have this new setup and my computer's like a million miles away. I need to change the setup. What really happened to Marilyn Monroe?
That's a good one.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Can you say his name for me one more time, Harlow or Denise?
Fred Valentich. He was only 20 years old.
So Fred had already a lot of anxiety, paranoia. He struggled with feeling like he was being watched, feeling like he was being followed. That already lived in him. And that started at a young boy around age 5 from abductions. The abductions were relentless. And because they started at such a young age, it was really traumatizing for him, like to the point of it seems like he had a fairly normal, if there's such a thing, childhood. There wasn't any, it doesn't feel like there was any abuse or anything like that. It was more so the abductions that just plagued him and haunted
Perfect
him.
timing. That was going to be my first question. Interesting.
Maybe I should ask you your second question before I keep going.
No. I was just wondering if there was a reason why he was so concerned with aliens and being abducted. So you hit that right away.
Part of the reason why he wanted to get his pilot license was to, like, I don't know if it's wanting to get closer to them as much as it was a feeling like he had a sense of control over them that way. And when they talked about him like flying into the clouds and going places he wasn't supposed to, this thing in him was searching these people out, not in a way where, not, I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all. Did you guys hear that?
What was it?
That wasn't you?
I didn't hear it.
Did you hear it, Denise?
I heard of something. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? What did it sound like?
It sounded like, to me, it sounded like radio noise, but
because it wasn't the dogs. We didn't hear them.
It wasn't the dogs. So it's like I was going to say, he was searching them out, not like paranormal investigators go and search out haunted, not that. He wasn't like, ooh, I love aliens, I want to go find them. He was trying to be, he had this thing of like, I'll get you before you get me. I'll find you before you find me. And he was just constantly trying to get his power back from them. So Go ahead.
Is that why, even though he filed a flight plan, that he didn't contact where he was supposed to land and ask them to turn the lights on? That wasn't done at all. And he didn't do a lot of things. And he told people different things as to why he was going where he was going. There was different stories told to his family as opposed to the flight people. There's so many inconsistencies. Is that because he was trying not to be tracked?
No, I don't feel that he was not trying to go against. It's like he feels like such a young boy who was trying to survive in this chaotic environment that he grew up in. It's like it's honestly it's like nothing I've ever seen before, the amount of just abduction and interference in his life, and it's almost to the point of it was just like this everyday occurrence that just wouldn't let up, and he was getting frustrated, and he couldn't get clarity, and he couldn't tell anybody, and he had no one to turn to and nowhere to go, and he wasn't trying to mislead people. He was trying to navigate the voices in his head, which were not caused by mental health. They were caused by him hearing these alien groups, this one alien group, I should say, in particular. He would hear them, and he heard them just as loud as he could hear his own voice. So he was trying to navigate, like, not listen to them, not follow them. He was trying to go against them, go, whichever way they were, he wanted to go the other way. And it's like, sorry, I have something in my eye. It was inevitable. Like, they were going to track him down and find him. And I don't know why they were so relentless with him. It was so uncalled for and unnecessary and ugly. I keep hearing there's this H word, HOC. It's like I keep wanting to see the word hope, but it's not hope. It's something else. And I don't know. I almost want to say it's the alien group that was involved. And he couldn't have escaped it. He was trying to, but he couldn't. I feel very, very bad for him. Okay. Questions?
Do you want to go there as to who it was? What alien group?
Yeah, I almost, like, a part of me almost feels like they don't exist anymore, because I just don't feel a energy around them, a connection around them. They've changed. They've morphed since then. Maybe they've changed their ways. Maybe they've gotten better, because that group isn't hounding them, people like that anymore.
So then I guess the question is, did they abduct him and not ever return him?
Yes.
Okay. And his plane too?
They took him back. That's what I keep hearing, is they took him back. I feel like his mom had something to do with it too. I don't know if she was conscious of it. It could be, it feels like it's like a situation of potentially mom was seated by someone from their group. Yeah, I don't feel it to be the Greys, Violet. I mean, these guys are pretty, because there's a territorial and situation happening around him. They're just feeling very territorial, like he's ours. What is he doing there? The mom, if she had anything to do, if it is, it feels like it's like she, like I said, like she was seated, but she's wasn't aware, didn't obviously, I mean, didn't know.
Susan's asking, did they lead him to the area where they could take him?
Just took him out of his plane. It feels like his plane disintegrated.
Was that one piece of a plane found? Was that from his plane?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the piece?
It was a cowl from the engine, a cowl
What's
flap.
that?
It's on the front of a plane. It protects the engine, and I don't know exactly. I'm not an airplane person, but yeah.
Because for some reason I'm feeling like there, like that part of the plane, like there was an evaporation process that they did, and it does like parts of the plane weren't able to fully evaporate from it.
Will any other pieces of the plane ever be found?
I don't think so. No. Maybe something from the tail. I'm hearing. What's the tail? The tail,
yeah.
like the end.
Yeah. Where will they find that?
The Black Sea. What's the Black Sea?
Not right in his area. So, but it's been since 78. So who knows?
Yeah,
And
just the way sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's all right.
I was just saying, just the way the information is coming through is so odd. That's why I kind of laughed too when I said it. I was like, the Black Sea.
But I mean,
who's talking to me?
If it evaporated, who knows?
Well, the bulk of the plane evaporated. There were just pieces of the plane that weren't affected by the evaporation. I mean, it sounds insane, but that's. Sorry, Denise, you're probably dying to talk. Go ahead.
Well, because when you were speaking, like I kept hearing escape, like he was trying to escape. And what I also got was he belonged to them. So that's confirming what you got. He belonged to them and they kept going to get him. And the mom subconsciously didn't remember being a part of them. And so she would summon him back. So that's why there was this constant back and forth and back and forth. And he never spoke of it. So she didn't know that he was being summoned all the time. And what I felt is what the reason for him to get his pilot's license so that he could escape them, so that he could go faster than them, because he had no concept of how fast their craft was. They were not a good alien species. They were very violent species. And they took him and they intentionally dropped those pieces of the plane to get people to stop looking for him.
Interesting.
Like they evaporated the majority of the plane and then they left just because that one piece, if I remember, had the serial number or some that would match his plane. So they intentionally left that part behind so that they would stop searching.
That makes sense.
Yeah. After 4 days, they stopped the search.
Right. Because what I'm getting is that they buried themselves under the sand in the sea. And they couldn't, almost like they couldn't stay there much longer. Or they knew that they would be limited for the amount of time. And so they did leave things that they could be found. So then they were like, okay, well, never mind. And so then, so it wasn't until years later that they were like, okay, yeah, this is where it really happened. And so they were just wanting to extract themselves, but they had to hide because of the civilian that saw them. They couldn't get away fast enough, so to speak, even though they were so fast. But because he was in communication with the tower, there was already people coming to help. And so they had to do this. I feel like I'm getting where they just did it so much faster than they had intended, which is why it was so noisy and scratchy and not so smooth. It was like because they were in a hurry, because they misjudged what they were doing. because they were in a hurry because they saw an opportunity and they took it.
It's interesting it's almost like a tug of war between his mom and the aliens. And then it also makes me wonder if that's why he could never pass his pilot's license, the commercial license, or the Air Force. It's like maybe he didn't really want to, or it's interesting.
That's a good point. That's a good. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't get a sense that it was him that couldn't pass the test. I feel like they intervened that he didn't get the answers correctly. So it wasn't him that didn't have the knowledge or didn't study enough. I feel like they sabotaged what he was trying to do.
I'm going to say the same thing, but in a little different way. When we're moving out of fear to such an extreme, it dilutes and clouds, right? And confuses.
Right.
And so every time they would interact with him or show themselves in whatever way, it scared him. And so there was just this constant fear. He was just completely driven by fear.
Like self-preservation. No, I'm not going to actually pass this.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Did they lead him? What is this one?
I had Don't Know Party.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll leave that alone.
So, well, that's really interesting. And then really the next step is to figure out why they were so obsessed with him and who they were, where they were from.
It's Hocate.
Huh. All right.
And I keep seeing like squid-like
Tentacles.
and they were definitely lower vibration, but I'm just feeling them being very misguided. It's like they're like a child who, let's say a child who goes into a store and takes a doll they want off the shelf, and they have no concept of capitalism and that they have to pay for something, right? They have no concept. They just know that they want that doll and they want that doll. So why can't I have the doll? I want it, and so you try to explain to them, it's not your doll. You have to buy the doll. And they're not getting it. They're not getting it. And they're not understanding that they weren't understanding that this person came through a human body this time. And the part that they played in seeding this woman, as weird as that is wasn't enough, because it was still this woman's child. So it wasn't like there was an agreement, like you would have our baby and then we get to take the baby back. But they were doing that, like what I was saying that child does, but that's mine. And no, it's not. So they weren't understanding the boundaries and that there were other people involved that were getting hurt by this. They didn't feel it. They couldn't feel past their own sense of self, which is it's reading as evil and mean, but underneath it really wasn't. It was just very immature, unevolved soul behavior that has since evolved out of that behavior. Right? So that 5-year-old who wants that doll ideally grew up and realized she can't have all the dolls.
Right.
And they have evolved into, because I don't feel them as a present group at all anymore.
Okay.
It's almost like they become extinct.
Yeah. But maybe it could be that they're extinct, because I felt though in evolution, but they're not around anymore. So extinct feels like probably more accurate. because I don't feel their presence. Even as an evolved presence, they aren't coming forward and communicating.
No. And to your point, like they were just like, well, that's my toy. That's my doll. That's my stuffy. That's my, like, that belongs to me. And like you said, they just kept coming back and back and back and back. And I almost get a sense of like he was difficult when they took him over because he didn't want to be there. So he was a typical 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old who would throw a tantrum because he wanted to go home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so it was more like that. And they're like, all right, fine, we'll take you back. But then they're like, okay, well, now we want you back. So that's why that was that constant, like, tug of war, actually, for his existence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until they won.
Right.
It's interesting because HOCATE is the name of a planet in a Japanese video game.
Oh.
Which I'd never heard of before.
It's the name of a planet in a Japanese video game?
Yeah, in a universe of a Japanese video game. It's red color and intersecting rings. Interesting.
So is it part of like an anime thing?
Yeah.
Probably.
In a video game form. That's what comes up first anyway.
Interesting.
Maybe it's based on something that really was.
Any idea what they wanted with him or what they did with him?
It's interesting.
Well, he just went and lived with them. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they wouldn't take him back this time. Even though he wanted to go back, they wouldn't take him back. They were like, no, you're ours now.
I mean, he had, it's like he was given a choice. You can come with us now, or we'll come get you later. And not in a like sweet, we'll come get you later, but in like, we'll be back to get you.
Right, exactly. Like, and I feel like he conceded because the constant fear of the back and forth where this was now, at least he didn't like it. He didn't want to be there, but he knew that it wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
So was that prearranged?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more, and I also feel like he may have known that this was coming. And so everything was intensifying. He was like, it didn't, he was scared, but he knew it was coming.
Yeah. He was hoping to avoid it a lot longer.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like he wanted to get his pilot's license. I feel like he wanted to get his pilot's license. So almost like he could play with them, with the airplane and the ship, and that would buy him time here still to be on Earth. And that he was trying to appease like both worlds. Like he could do stuff with them. But once he radioed about them, then they were known. And then they were photographed. So it was kind of like they were willing to go along with him for a little while, but then things changed.
Could the fact that all that happened not quite the way they expected, they were seen and they weren't able to do that smoothly, could that have played into the fact that they went extinct?
Because they weren't real bright?
Well, you say it.
They killed I mean, listen, humans are one to talk. We're about to go extinct too. So pot calling the kettle black there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't. I feel like they actually, because based on what you said, they were like squid-like. I feel like that because they were lower consciousness, that they were actually part of the sea, like almost like they were lower. If you had classes of aliens, you know what I mean? And I think they did go extinct because, like you said, they weren't real bright. They just kind of did dumb stuff, and you're just like, well, that was, genius of you. And they're like,
and he I keep seeing, like, when I ask what happened to him once they got him, I'm seeing him, that part, the human part of him did die.
mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, he was literally half alien, half human, and they do I mean, this sounds like some crazy sci-fi movie. They do something when the human half dies, but the human part of him died. So that we know for sure.
That feels right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it feels right. He just kind of ceased to be, almost.
Yeah, because I'm not saying that the human part died because the plane crash. They took him before the plane crashed, and then that human self died. Susan's saying what could explain the squid-like image? There's a squid-like image? Oh, you're saying, wait, what?
That picture, you mean the photograph?
Is that what Susan's
Although
referring
it
to?
doesn't have any tentacles or anything, but it is like solid. Yeah, I'm not sure what she's referring to.
Susan, are you referring to this picture? Is anyone ever gonna be able to see it? Of, like, that someone got the day that he disappeared? So weird. How you explained what you saw. Oh, yeah, she's putting together that they came from the water, and yeah. Some grays have a skin texture like that of a squid. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
So then maybe, interesting. So then maybe it was a part of they were a part of the
Maybe where
gray.
they were, maybe there was different levels because they've evolved, and that was a level that went extinct because they've evolved. Because when we did the last show, I know in between you did a channeling with the grays, with the aliens, and then I think it was with the grays, but then prior to that, when we did that, they were talking, when we did the show, when you were channeling them, that they have evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And that we're no longer like that. And then at the time, they had the two sectors. So if this one was a lower vibration than those two, that would make sense that they went extinct because they were overzealous and not so bright and neat and tidy in their abductions, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And two, I think I something that comes to me as we're talking is, humans abduct humans and humans abduct aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So alien, and this has nothing to do with anything you said, Denise, it just triggered this thought process in me, is, aliens abducting humans, well, we do the same thing, but there's this, the aliens that abduct humans are such, they're practicing this lower vibration, and it's like, but some of them are practicing to try to get to a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than humans coming through different incarnations, and each lifetime they get a little bit better, but they're not that great,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're just trying to figure it out, and then finally, 100 incarnations later, they're learning how to be compassionate and help others and not just think of themselves. And, so I feel like the same applies with them. It's just that what they did, the difference, one of the big differences for us is that human evolution hasn't grasped how to move out of the one dimension, the dimension we're in. We haven't learned how to elevate, levitate, how to move through objects, how to move objects, how to, control an airplane with our mind. Like, we haven't learned how to do any of that. So we're so grounded, literally and figuratively, that when we do crappy things, it's a different experience. So when aliens do things that are crappy, we're just like, oh my God. But really, it's like they just happen to have the understanding of other dimensions and how to move through other dimensions, and that the one place they're at isn't the only place they're at, and so they're not grounded like that, so they can do interdimensional stuff. We aren't smart enough to do interdimensional stuff unless we have a rocket ship that can take us there, so right. And so the things that they do sound so crazy and out of this world, literally, but it's like, no, it's just that humans haven't figured that part out yet,
Yeah. And I feel like it was more immaturity on their part.
For sure. I agree.
Not, like sloppy because they were immature,
Yeah.
Like somebody being 20 versus somebody being 40, you're going to have a different, approach to the same topic.
Right. Hello. That's me. Many colors, just like I can't see from here. Many colors, just like humanity, I believe, different model and body.
Mm.
Was this something that group did often? Did they abduct other people?
They feel like they were very, like, this abduction wasn't about curiosity. Who are they? What are they doing? This was a very specific going in to take something that they felt was theirs. And I don't feel like they abducted regularly. They pretty much stayed in their own lane. And again, they weren't super bright. So there wasn't a lot of exploration. This was like a mission that they were on.
I feel like when they did abduct, they actually went after what they felt was theirs. So it wasn't a constant, like, we want to meet you, we want to study you. It's like, to your doll analogy, it was like, that's my toy and I want it back.
Yeah.
And so it was more of a, an immaturity thing on their part. Like, well, that belongs to me and I want it back. And so that's when they would go and abduct, what they felt belonged to them. They weren't just, seeking out strangers, if you will, to abduct them, to study them. They were feeling like they really felt like they were going and back and getting what belonged to them.
Right. Is that something that's very common in low vibrational beings?
So there was some sort of interaction with the seeding, the mother. This is where it gets a little complicated, because there was this sense of ownership over this person being half them, half human. And it feels like the seeding happened, I don't want to say against her will, without her knowledge, which is just another way of saying against her will, I guess. I mean, if you don't know what's happening, then it's against your will.
Pretty much.
Or if you don't agree.
Right. So that's how that happened.
Because I do feel like he was an alien. Like, when we first were listening to everything, and when I looked at the pictures, I felt like he was an alien being, and that makes sense with you feeling like they were like, no, that's mine, I want it back.
Right.
And I don't think he understood that he was. I think he thought he was just being abducted.
He just sensed it. He had instinct for sure. It's a strange case.
Yeah,
strange.
I agree. He didn't know who he was or that he was one of them or anything like that.
Mhm.
I agree.
Any of the viewers have any more questions? Okay, so then did they feel like the mother was their property too, or did they randomly choose her to make Frederick?
They randomly chose her to make Frederick. Good question.
Mhm. And I feel like his dad, and I don't mean this way, but what came through was like he was like the dummy that agreed
Mm-hmm.
to be the dad.
Like, I don't feel him having any awareness or consciousness of any of it at all.
No, they were like, this is going to be your husband because he's going to go along with this because he's not going to ask any questions and he's just going to be, la 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 la,
Yeah. When they interviewed him after the fact, it was like, oh yeah, he was always worried about aliens taking him.
Oh,
You mean like kind of flippantly he said it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was always into aliens. He was always worried. He kept saying he was worried he was going to be abducted.
yeah, it's like the dad was like, la 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 la. Oh yeah, that's what he said. Like, okay. Like he could have said he was going to go across the street and, buy a piece of bubble gum. He's like, yeah, he always said he was, it's just like,
that makes sense. And you know why, like you just said, Denise, that they picked someone who wouldn't question.
Mm-hmm.
See, and you can seek that type of person out because you can feel that, that's sort of a 101, feeling able to feel someone's energy like that. I mean, they're capable of doing that.
Yes. And I feel like, because I've been trying to connect with the mom to see if she has anything to say. And I feel like she was far more aware of what was going on than she let on because he didn't tell her. The son didn't tell her that he was being abducted. And so because he wasn't telling her, she had like these weird suspicions of things, I feel like, but she didn't act on them because she thought she just thought she was making this stuff up.
Yeah.
But she still had that, for lack of a better word, that, women's intuition that something was off, but she just couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah.
Or why. Did the family have other children that you're aware of, Harlow?
Not that I came across. There wasn't a lot of information about the mom at all, or basically they just talked about when the dad was interviewed after the case.
Okay, because I feel like he was like an only child.
He might have been.
Mom was actually surprised that she ended up getting pregnant, and so that would kind of make some sense as that he was like half human, half alien, and that's why he belongs. The seeding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, you really took us on quite a ride.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, all those questions are like, since he was abducted, it takes a lot off the table.
It does. What were some of the other questions?
Well, as far as if he was, there was the hoax theory, if he actually landed somewhere else and didn't land where he was supposed to, and all that stuff. So it doesn't really matter now.
You're like, just all that stuff.
Just all that stuff.
I have a whole sheet of questions. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I do feel like he had a plan, though, in regards to why he didn't notify where he was landing because he didn't want the lights. And
yeah,
so I do believe he had a plan for that. I don't think he anticipated getting abducted while he was mid-flight.
It made it curious because of all the inconsistencies, because he told people different stories about why he was going there, and then he didn't arrange for the lights to be on at night when he landed, and so it was really bizarre.
He was trying to figure out, he was trying to figure out how to move through the skies without being seen.
Clocked, yeah.
And not because he was trying to get away with anything, and not because he didn't want humans to see him. He was seeing if he could fly without being spotted by ETs.
Makes sense.
Yep. The answer to that would be no.
Dude, I think that's kind of the spookiest thing, you know, is about alien abduction, is just that knowingness, you know. I was just gonna say, Harlow, it's funny how I mean, I feel like every show you're like, I swear to God, like you have a piece of paper and you're just like,
I know.
well,
I have like a whole list of questions here.
And then it's like, well, out the window those go.
Mm-hmm. But it's such a weird abduction case.
yeah.
Usually, if they're abducted, they're brought back, or there's something left behind, or it's just such a weird one.
Yeah.
And the reason that they took him, it's all strange.
Well, I mean, I don't, if it's any consolation to anyone, I don't feel like there was any suffering. Like they weren't abusive or mean, you know, it was.
No, they just wanted him back.
Yeah.
Like his fear was lack of understanding of what his position was with them and why they wanted him. And I think once he figured out why they wanted him, I think that's when he allowed for his human side to die, you know, and then just absorbed back into his tribe, his culture, you know.
Yeah. When you face something otherworldly like that, then you see it on a whole different level.
Because I actually have a sense of that he has more peace now than he did when he was here as a human.
For sure. Yeah. I agree with that too. I feel the same thing.
Yeah, because I don't know. I felt like when he was in body, he was so anxious, like you said, and so stressed and just always, you know, and now it's like, oh, okay, this is where I belong.
All his whole life, he had that undercurrent, not really understanding what it was, but it was just made all that fear.
And he probably because he didn't know where he belonged.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't really understand because he didn't really feel human and he didn't feel, you know, like an alien, you know, and he just kept being pulled and he was just like, and, you know, and when you're little and you don't know what's going on, that's scary.
Of course. Yeah. That definitely shapes you and where you're going with it, which is why he was constantly tormented by it.
Yeah, because it was more, feel like it was not, like you said, not that they were hurting him, but it was more, he just didn't have the comprehension and the mental capacity to understand what was happening. So he felt like he was, you know, crazy. You know, like, what is happening? Why am I going through this? What did I do to deserve this kind of thing? You know, and not ever saying anything to anyone. He lived with that all on his own, you know, and he just didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
This took place in Australia. I'm not sure exactly where he was from.
I don't feel like he grew up in a rural area. Right. She's probably asking because that's where a lot of abductions or UFOs land, like in rural areas.
Yeah, I know that's where he took off from. That's where the airfield was. I don't know exactly where he was born or any of that information.
I don't feel like it was in a rural area. And I don't feel like the abductions were like a big ordeal, UFOs landing, and you know what I mean? It was quietly. These interactions were happening quietly.
Yeah. Especially since it was the late 70s.
Yeah.
They were a lot more subtle. You know, now they want to be seen. Back then they really didn't. Not as much as they do now.
Yeah, nothing showed up on the radar when he was radioing in. They told him nothing was in the area.
But you could definitely hear the scraping of the metal when they were like,
yeah, you could definitely hear that.
yeah, they were definitely, vaporizing his plane and taking him, because you could hear that. That's what, now that we know that that's what you received, that you can almost hear that sound now. Because I imagine it, makes a little bit of noise.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Yeah, and then it just went quiet. He was gone.
All right. Well, listen, we've solved a lot of cases, so we need one that we can't solve. I'm just kidding. we need some ideas.
I was thinking about doing a missing persons one next.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's a real popular one, Brandon Swanson, and that's one some people have requested.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tegan requested that one, and I think somebody else did too.
All right, let's listen to the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a great case, Harlow. How did you find out about that one?
I searched through a lot of crap. It's basically just Googling strange cases and famous abduction cases, famous missing persons. I think that's how it came up, because he was never found. His plane was never found. I mean, it's not one of the most famous ones. Obviously, it's not like D.B. Cooper or anything, but it does come up. So I looked into it, and it's bizarre.
It is.
Yeah,
that was fascinating. I really liked it.
I know, because that was a good one, because I was like, ooh.
It's always interesting when aliens are involved.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. I've learned so much, but now I'm like getting ahead of myself, and it's all starting to mix together.
I can relate to that.
You're like talking about the Frederick case, and you're like, and when he was a pageant queen. Wait a minute.
Wait, wrong case.
I think when we were talking about this before, he said, oh shit, and he didn't, but Brandon Swanson did before he went missing.
Wait, he said what? You cut out when you said that. He said what?
Oh, I think before, a week or so before, when we were talking about doing this case, I was talking about the radio and him saying he saw the UFO, and I was thinking he had said, oh shit, before when it disappeared, but that was Brandon Swanson.
Oh.
He's a young man who was on the phone with his parents because he had driven into a ditch and was lost. And the last thing they heard was, oh shit, and he's never been found.
Oh, when did that happen?
That's been a while ago. I don't remember the year. Now I have to go look that one all up.
Oh, yeah, let's do that one. See if we can help them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good work as always.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was really interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun when the alien groups aren't in your face. Mm-hmm. It's fun when they're extinct like that, so you can just talk about them casually without the fear of repercussion.
And they're not going to come back and go, hello.
Yeah, imagine you're surprised.
They did that, Denise? Could you imagine?
Yeah, well, they were squiggly, so.
Well, do you know what's so funny is while we were all talking about it, I kept picturing, okay, so the Christmas movie Elf with Will Ferrell? Mm-hmm. And you know how that scene where he's the human sitting with all the elves on the big chair?
Oh,
and he's the only one that doesn't fit in. And I just kept thinking of Frederick like that, back with all the squid-like aliens, and he's just sitting there eating his fish, and he's like,
what the heck is going on here? I don't understand. What do these things don't belong?
Hopefully those aren't the tentacle people that I saw.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I didn't think so. These are friendly little tentacles.
Yeah, yours are a lot.
We had the friendly tentacles already. Those were good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nice job, you guys. Good work, Denise. Good work, as always, Harlow. We'll be back in 2 weeks or next Thursday. Ask the Aliens, our new series, where we channel whoever wants to talk to us, and you guys get to ask whatever questions you want. That's going to be fun, like always. So thanks, you guys. Beautiful work.